In this video, I want to take a quick moment to talk about template strings in JavaScript. So we're going to step away from functions for just a second, and we're going to talk about this new way to create strings. Right now, every time we've created a string, we've used single quotes. We put our string characters inside, like we do here, here, and here, and then we see that in the result. So in this case, I add all of this stuff up, concatenating them onto each other, and the end result is the message that prints with the user's name and their score inside of this string. Now, what we're going to do is explore the template string. As the name suggests, it's a way to create a template string. So there are parts of this template string that are going to be static, and there are other parts that are going to be dynamic. From a functional standpoint, it's going to do exactly what we already do here, but the syntax is going to make it a lot easier to work with. So let's go ahead and explore this syntax. Down below, console.log, and we're going to make a regular string. The string Andrew using single quotes. This is a regular boring old string. It's something that we've done plenty of times before. I'm not even going to run the program. What I want to talk about though, before I talk about template strings, is that we can create regular strings using double quotes as well. So right here, I can use a double quote and I can type my message inside. There is no difference between the two in JavaScript. I use single quotes because I don't have to hit the shift key, so it's just one less key to press. I also think they look a bit cleaner. You can also use double quotes for all of your strings. That would work as well. I just don't recommend using a combination of the two. Find which one works best for you and stick with it. For me, in this course, I'm always going to use single quotes for my regular strings. I did just want to make you aware that this exists. It's a regular string, and I could even concatenate something onto it. Plus, followed by a single quoted string Mead. So the end result would be Andrew Mead with no space in between. It's perfectly fine to mix the two like this, but as I mentioned, for clarity's sake, I recommend picking one and sticking with it. The only thing we can't do is open and close with a different quote. So I can't open Mead with a single quote and try to close it with a double quote. That's not valid. If I open it with single or double, I have to close it with the same. So these are all just regular strings, nothing new there. I just wanted to make you aware of the double quote syntax. What we're going to explore now is the template string, which is indeed a bit different. To create a template string, we use the backtick key on your keyboard. This is located to the left of the 1 key, and it looks very similar to a single quote, but as you'll notice, it is on a slight angle. And now in here, we can put anything we can put in a regular string. So I can just start typing the characters that I want to use. I could say, hey, my name is, followed by my name, with an exclamation mark. And that's going to print the static string to the screen every single time we run the program. Now let's say we had name above. Let name equal Andrew, and we want to use it in the string. Let's go ahead and actually switch the name up to something else. I'll go ahead and use Jen. We want to put it right here, although we want to leave everything before, hey, my name is, and everything after the exclamation mark alone. So what do? Well, with regular strings, we would have to use string concatenation. I would have one string, the first part, then I would add the concatenation operator to tack on name, then I would add on the concatenation operator again to tack on the exclamation mark. For template strings, we just move to the part of the string where we want to inject the value, and we use the following syntax. It's a $, followed by the opening and closing curly brace. Inside, we can add a JavaScript expression. This is where we pick what we want to put in this part of the template string. In this case, we want to put whatever is stored in the name variable. So the end result of the stuff highlighted is going to be the string Jen. The $, and the curly brace do not make it into the final version. This is just the syntax for injecting some sort of value. Let's go ahead and check this out by actually running the arguments file. Over here, node arguments.js. When I run it, what do I get? I get, hey, my name is Jen. If I change the name to something else, hey, my name is Vikram, and I rerun the script, that is exactly what I get. Hey, my name is Vikram, because it's using the new value for the name variable in this particular part of the template string. Now, we could add as many values as we need to into this string. You could say something like, I am 12 years old, or whatever their age is, and this could also come from a variable. So I would add age right here, let age equal 12. Then I would add the exact same syntax, $, curly braces, inside of there, the thing I want to inject, in this case, age. Now we have a template string with 2 dynamic values inside of it. I can go ahead, rerun it, and I get the full message. So what's the real advantage? And the answer is it's a syntactical advantage. So I can do the exact same thing I do here with regular old strings and the plus operator. The difference is that in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of others, this is way harder to read than this down below. This is also way harder to change. So let's say I want to move name to the front of the string, or I want to take this part of the message and move it to the end, putting score in the beginning. I have to rearrange things and also rearrange the plus operators, making sure to remove the leading and trailing spaces around appropriately. It becomes quite a bit of a headache. With template strings, it's really easy to rearrange things. If I want to move the first sentence after the second sentence, I can just go ahead and cut it out. I can remove that one space, I can add a space here, and I can paste it in. So with template strings, it's way easier to actually work with them. Using concatenation, yes, we can get the job done. It's just not as ideal as working with template strings. So since we know a better way to do things, let's go ahead and actually use it. I'm going to replace the string here with a template string. So what are we going to do? I'm going to return, and I'm going to create a template string using the back tick, which automatically gets closed for me. In here, I'm going to put everything I want. So it's name, :space. Then we are going to inject the name. So $, curly braces, name. Then after name, I'm going to add a space, hyphen, space, score, : then I'm going to inject at the very end the actual score variable. So this and what I have down below are going to produce the exact same output. I just find this much more readable and way more maintainable. Let's go ahead and prove that it actually still prints the exact same result by saving the file and rerunning things. The last time we ran it, we got this message. If I rerun it again, we get the exact same message. Name anonymous, score 99. Template strings, once again, do not really give us any new functionality. It just gives us a better way to get things done. It's something we're going to be using extensively throughout the course. I'm going to remove the regular string return statement, and down below, I'm also going to delete the example we set up since we now have an example right here. Your challenge for the video is going to be to integrate a template string into the getTip function down below. So let's go ahead and talk about what I'd like you to do. Your job is to return a string, a little message from getTip, as opposed to returning just the actual tip value. And the string you're going to return is going to be created from a template string. So let's go ahead and explore this. Right here, the message for this data would look like the following. A 25% tip on $40, the value passed in, would be, and the actual calculation would be 10. So instead of just returning the number 10, I am including the number 10 in the larger template string. Now there are 3 values here. We have 25. To calculate this, you just take the tip percent and multiply it by 100. We have 40, which is just passed in directly, and we have 10, which comes from the calculation right here. It's going to be your job to put all of this together inside of a template string. You can create a couple variables beforehand to run those calculations, and then you can return the template string, much like we return a template string up above. Take as much time as you need to get this one done, and then mess around with it. Try to pass in a few different values and make sure you do see the correct message for each. Pause the video, and when you're done, go ahead and click play. All right, how'd that one go? Hopefully you were able to get things done without too much trouble. I'm going to go ahead and kick things off by creating a few variables. First up, let % equal, and here I'm just going to take the tip percent and I'm going to multiply it by 100. That's going to convert 0.2 over to 20, which I need for this first part. Now for the second part, I don't have to do anything. I have that number passed in directly. For the third part, I do want to calculate the tip. So let tip equal the total times the tip percent. That is going to give me, in the case of this data, a value of 10. And then finally, I'm going to return the template string. So right here, let's go ahead and open and close some back ticks, and we're going to start filling things out. So a space followed by the percent value from up above, $, curly braces, percent. Then after that, space, actually not space, we're going to use the percent sign. Then a space, tip on space, $, and this is where we put the total. So $, curly braces, total. Then after the total, space would be space, and then finally we wrap up with a $, and then the actual calculated tip. So $, curly braces, right inside of here, tip. Now we can actually test things out by rerunning the file. I'm going to save my work, rerun things from the terminal, and I get a 25% tip on $40 would be $10. Everything is working well, and we were able to set up this string using template strings. Now let's go ahead and switch up the values. I'm going to switch to the default 20% tip, and I'm going to switch the number over to 50. If I rerun things this time around, I'd actually still get 10. Let me switch this over to 60 to see a different value print. I rerun it, and I get a 20% tip on $60 would be $12, which is correct. All right, now that we have this in place, I want to show you one alternative way you could have gotten this done. You can actually run these calculations right inside of the curly braces. So if I wanted to, I could calculate tip percent times 100 right here. I could do the exact same thing for the tip. I could multiply the total times the tip percent to get the actual total tip. This would allow us to remove these two variables completely. Now, this is not necessarily what you want to do in all situations. It's just a different way to solve the problem. If I were to save things and rerun things, we get the exact same message. The calculations are still being executed the same, they're just now embedded right in the template string. This can be good in some situations, but it can also create situations where the template string is now much easier to read through since it includes more code and math operations. So I am going to actually undo those changes and bring it back to the example I had before, where I simply reference the percent variable right here and the tip variable right here. This is all about personal preference and style. I prefer to keep my template strings cleaner, just referencing variables, as opposed to trying to run calculations right inside, creating a situation that's just a bit messier. All right, that is it for this one. Now that we know how to use template strings, we can use them throughout the course to create more meaningful messages. I'm excited to continue on. I'll see you next time.